Hello, True Health Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. I've got a really fun and lighthearted episode for you today. It was such a pleasure interviewing Jonas, and I really look forward to all the fun things you're going to learn from her today. But first, I wanted to share with you the reason why I am so passionate about health coaching. I have to admit, I was really skeptical when I first heard this kind of what seemed like a fad a few years ago, this idea of a health coach. I kind of poo-pooed it, I have to be honest. It seemed like silly, like, oh, going to a quote unquote life coach seemed kind of silly. People were poo-pooing that. And even though I have been a coach for many years, been doing coaching for almost 20 years myself, and I've gotten incredible results with my clients, this idea of this fad of health coaches seemed really superficial. What kind of results could you possibly get by going to a quote unquote health coach, right? Well, looking into it further, I had to eat some humble pie because what I'm seeing more and more over the last few years are people are getting incredible results from going to a health coach, because a legitimate certified health coaches are phenomenal authorities around health. And what they do is they hold their client's hand and guide them through their lifestyle changes, their dietary changes, their habit formation, guide them through those hard times in life when we would have normally fallen off the bandwagon from our health goals, or maybe lost track, maybe kind of when we kind of get into the muck of it all, when things seem very confusing, which knowing once you get into the health field, so many things are confusing. Is a low-fat diet healthy? Is a high-fat diet healthy? Is protein the best macronutrient? Is it better to balance your macronutrients? Or, just goes on and on. There's so many contradicting things. One expert will tell you that milk is good for you. The next one, it'll tell you milk is bad for you. And one expert will talk about how healthy grains are and grains can be for your diet. And the next expert will say, never eat grains. And they all have science to back what they're saying up, so that, we get wrapped up in the confusion, but also we're convinced every time we hear the science, right? So what's the right answer? The truth is there's no one right answer. There's no cookie cutter answer that's perfect for 100% of the population. We all know that we need water, right? We all need water, and we need clean air, clean water. We know we need food. But when it gets down to the details about your lifestyle and your food, there are these small little tweaks that health coaches help you with that allow you to maximize your results. I was amazed at just the small things. Like a few months ago, I increased my saturated fats, my healthy saturated fats, and I had a huge improvement in my results. I got so much more energy than I could ever get from any coffee, for example. It was just ridiculous. And that was one small change. Health coaches, what they do is they get to know you. They're kind of like great counselors that get to know you and your lifestyle and your emotions and your dreams and aspirations, and get to understand the whole you. And then when it comes time to helping you map out your goals, they've got great advice, they've got great tweaks. But these little things, like this one thing I just needed more of this one thing, and I didn't even know I didn't know it, And so a health coach is going to go in and see what's that one thing that's missing. And it's so exciting because they usually will work with clients for 3 to 6 months, sometimes a year, so that you have this person holding your hand for the long term. And that way, usually when you come up against the emotional things like Thanksgiving or Christmas or a birthday or an anniversary, or maybe an anniversary of a loved one's passing, and we're kind of struck with these stressful times, the health coach also helps you through that as well. So they also offer a lot of emotional and mental support, as well as the physical support as well, just the, food and supplements and hydration and exercise. So they're really these great experts that go beyond fitness, go beyond food. And that's why a year ago I set out to become a health coach. And like I said, I've been doing coaching for years. I've been doing coaching. I've been a master practitioner and trainer of neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, timeline therapy, and I've been doing that for many years. And health, I've just been really interested in for the last almost actually 7 years now. Been on my own personal journey. I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I reversed high blood pressure. I reversed my chronic adrenal fatigue, chronic infections. I've been getting so much of my health together through holistic medicine, through naturopathic medicine. I've been so passionate about it that what I decided to do was actually, well, one of the things is start this podcast so that I could help more people learn about holistic medicine so they could get their health back too. And on a personal level, I learned so much by doing these interviews. I absolutely love it. And of course, I then tell all my friends and family to listen as well. And so on a personal level, my podcast is helping those I love and care about, but I know it's helping you too. And that's another reason why I'm doing it, helping as many people as we can. Now, a year ago, when I first heard about the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, again, like I told you, I was a bit skeptical about health coaches, but I interviewed one for the podcast and I was so impressed. I asked him, how did you become a health coach? If you go back and listen to that first episode with Donnie DeSanti, and he said, it's, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Well, after we got off the interview, I ended the Skype call. I immediately went to their website, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. In fact, if you just Google IIN, you'll be able to find it. And I looked at their website, I called them up, and I signed up that same day. And I have never looked back. It has been amazing. I've absolutely loved their program. I can see a lot of times going through their program that health nuts, just people who are super interested in their own personal health, would love doing this program. You gain so many tools, personal tools to grow yourself. It's a really intense and wonderful personal growth and development training, as well as a health coach program. So you walk away understanding over 100 dietary theories, but it's not boring. You learn from these experts who are absolutely amazing. It's sort of like you get to watch the most amazing TED Talks about the things you're so passionate about: health, spirituality, fitness, food, supplements, juicing, fasting, cleansing, detox, counseling, emotional support, all these things that you would find just fascinating. And every week you learn from these different experts. In fact, you should go to their website and see some of the experts. Would blow your mind. That's one of the things that made me sign up, is when I saw the amount of the list that is like a mile long of all of the really top-notch experts that come into the school to teach. Now, I'm a very busy person. I'm a mom of a toddler, and I do this podcast from home. And I thought to myself, how am I going to have the time to do this? Well, I am actually graduating this month, so I've spent a year doing it. I can't believe it's been a year. It's just really flown by. And what I love about their program is they make it really easy to do for busy moms, stay-at-home moms, or, people with careers, very busy people. You can listen to the videos while you're driving or commuting. You can either cram it all in on a Sunday, or you can spread it out and do about a half an hour or 15 minutes every day. And you'll be able to pretty much break it up and fit it into your schedule. I just noticed that I just watched less TV and just did IIN instead. And in fact, I enjoy IIN more, and all the trainings, I'd often play them for my husband while I was, watching them, and he'd watch them too, and he was loving them too. I've talked to some of the listeners of the Learn Trail podcast who've gone on to join IIN, and they shared with me that they also share it with their spouse, and that it's making a big difference in their whole family as they go through the program, which is really cool. So if you're someone who loves holistic health, loves helping your friends and family gain their health back, and would love to add to your career, maybe you're not even in the health field, but would love the possibility, can you imagine? And it's a great way to transition, but you can do health coaching part-time and build your health coaching business very organically part-time while keeping your full-time job, or doing, the full-time thing that you're doing right now, and supplementing your income while helping people, and eventually grow it to the point where maybe you end up doing health coaching full-time. There's so many possibilities. You don't even necessarily have to work with clients. You can decide to become an author or a YouTube expert, or just help your friends and family. or add on, like let's say you already are working with clients. If you're a holistic healthcare practitioner, there's so many things that you can learn through IIN to add on to the tool set you already have. So I definitely recommend checking them out. You can go to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition or IIN.com, give them a call and just talk to them. Their customer service reps have all gone through the program, so they can answer questions for you. Juliet is my favorite customer service rep. She's been with them, I think I heard 10 years now, and she's the one who signed me up. She's amazing. She can really answer a lot of questions, but whoever you get, I've never actually had a bad experience talking to them. Make sure that you mention the Learn True Health podcast and Ashley James, my name, Ashley James, and Learn True Health podcast, because when I signed up with them, I made a deal with them. They would give the best deal. So whatever discount they could possibly provide, whatever special, whatever discount, or maybe like there's sometimes a no interest for their payment plan, which is what I got. And it was very affordable to do their payment plan. So if you think it's expensive, it's not. You can absolutely work it into your budget. And they'll offer that to you. The best deal that they're offering at the time is given to Learn True Health members, Learn True Health listeners. So please, call up IIN. You can request a curriculum guide. You can request to actually go through an entire module of theirs to really get a feel for if you like it and see the course and listen to the material, read through the material, and get a feel for whether it's right for you. So you can request that of them. And like I said, just give them a call. The Institute for Integrative Nutrition.com or Google IIN. Tell them my name, Ashley James, so you make sure that you get the best deal possible. And let me know how it goes. And then when you if you decide to go through their program, the health coaching program, certification program, I would love to support you in your success. In fact, I've mentored several of the students who've joined IIN as a result of being a listener of the show, of the Learn True Health podcast. And I would love to mentor you too. So if you're going to go through the program, please reach out to me. You can email me, ashley@learntruehealth.com, and I would love to support you in your success. When you graduate and you're going to have your grow your business, I'd love to have you as a guest on the show and help you promote your business. And I want to help as many health coaches as possible, because what I see now is that health coaches are filling this void in our healthcare system. You know, you have a doctor. If you have an infection or something, you should go get help by a doctor, right? But who's the person that's helping you to maintain your health and to improve it on a day-to-day basis, right? Because you see a doctor maybe twice a year, but a doctor's not going to be with you once a week, right? Or once every 2 weeks. And frankly, doctors don't necessarily have all the training around the little diet tweaks that would make the biggest difference for you. They're great when it comes to kind of these giant issues, right? But when it comes to these small tweaks, it's best left to someone like a health coach who's trained in that. And health coaches aren't looking to diagnose or cure. They're looking to help you go from the health you are now to the best health you could possibly be in. So they're looking to optimize your results. Maybe you're already doing a diet right now and you just want better results, or maybe you haven't started a diet because it's kind of confusing and there's a ton of diets out there. Health coaches are fantastic to help you figure out which diet is best for you, that's the most nourishing and healing for your body, and it's going to get the best results. And if you're someone who would love to learn all these tools to become a health coach, you definitely want to check out IIN. I would love to help you. And if you have any questions about health coaching in general, or maybe you'd like to work with me, I'd love to talk to you about that as well. Please email me, ashley@learntruehealth.com. Awesome. Well, this is a really exciting interview. It's so much fun. My guest, PJ, has such a fantastic story, and I'm really looking forward to you listening to it now. Please, if this interview today inspires you, share it with your friends, especially those who have skin conditions, because this is pretty exciting what PJ has to share about how she can help those with skin conditions in a healthy and natural way. Enjoy today's show. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 175. Oh, this is going to be such a fun interview today. I've really been looking forward to this one. You know, we've all heard the healing properties of goat milk. And if you haven't, you're really in for a treat today. We have with us an expert in goats and goat milk products. Her story is phenomenal, and I'm really excited. PJ, Jonas, I'm just so excited to have you here today because what I love about your story is you started this business in your kitchen. You know, you had the intention to raise your children in a super healthy environment. All my listeners can relate to you in that all my listeners love, if they have children, they want to make sure their children are super healthy. And you set out to feed your children healthy, fresh goat milk. And then you turned around and you said, I can make products out of this and I can help more children and more people. And it grew and grew and grew. And now you have this beautiful company. I'm so thrilled that you're here today to share with us the magic of goat milk and goat milk products, and to share with us your story, because I think it's such a cool and inspiring one.
I'm so glad to be here, Ashley, and I can't wait to share everything I do with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just jump right in and please share your whole story and what led you to become the goat milk expert that you are
You know,
today.
yeah, it's so funny. You kind of find yourself falling into these things when you really had no intention of ever, or seeing yourself ever getting there. But I have 8 children. I homeschooled as children, and I really wanted them to have access to healthy raw goat milk. And, goat milk or raw milk, and whether it's goat or cow, is regulated on a state by state basis. So it depends on what state you're in. And I live in Indiana, and where we live in Indiana, it is illegal to purchase raw milk. And so I decided that I was going to get dairy goats because I wanted, number one, access to the milk. Number two, I wanted the children to be able to understand, the work ethic involved with raising dairy animals. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started, just because I couldn't legally get access to raw milk without having my own dairy goats.
Did you choose dairy goats because they're easier to maintain than like cows in your yard? Like, was this a decision like you wanted to give milk to your children, raw healthy milk to your children, and goats are kind of easier, or is there an added benefit to goat milk?
Yeah, no, I actually believe that goat milk is healthier for you than cow milk. There's a lot of reasons for that. When you come to the basic components, the vitamins and minerals, sometimes goat milk is higher, sometimes cow milk is higher. But the main difference between goat milk and cow milk is the digestibility of the goat milk. They both have casein proteins, they both have lactose, but for whatever reason, probably in part because the fat globules in goat milk are smaller than in cow milk, people are able to digest it much better. And so most people don't have any of the reactions with the lactose. They don't have any of the problems with the casein. There's always going to be exceptions, of course. So, you always have to tread carefully if you have known allergies. But because it's more easily digestible, you end up having more access to the nutrients that are in that milk. It's just they're more bioavailable to your body.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I'm dairy free. I've been allergic to milk my whole life, and I can handle some forms of goat cheese. Like, um, sometimes I get a little bit of a reaction, but like a tiny, tiny reaction, like a sore throat. But if I eat a giant thing of goat brie all by myself, but other than that, like if I do like just some goat cheese on my salad or something, I don't have any problem. And or like once in a while do like a gluten-free goat cheese pizza, totally fine. Whereas if I had like actual cow milk cheese, I would be I would be in a world of pain. And so
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting that just like some people who have chicken egg allergies, a lot of times won't have allergies to duck eggs or quail eggs. And a lot of times those who have intolerances to cow dairy are fine with goat dairy, even though it still contains some of the known allergens. That's really interesting. So you set out to feed your 8 wonderful homeschooled children healthy raw goat milk. What kind of health benefits did you see as they were growing up on this goat milk?
We never really had any health issues. I mean, I didn't have any problems with eczema. We didn't have any problems with asthma, things like that. So it wasn't like I can say that any of those things were cured. But I just saw with the whole lifestyle we were living, and the goat milk was a part of that. just, my kids, they rarely get sick. And if they do get sick, they get better so much faster. They're just so much, this is a term I use with the goats. I hate to apply it to my children, but I'm going to anyway, hardy. They're just very, they're not, impacted as much as a lot of the other kids that we come into contact with.
Uh, and did they growing up, did they all like hand milk? Like, did they sit there on the little stool and milk their own goat?
It started with myself. I was the one who started milking. And I probably did that for the first year. And then my oldest son, who was probably at the time like maybe 7, 8, he took over. And then it just kind of gets passed down as they all get a little bit older. They learn how to do it. They probably start messing around with it when they're 3 or 4. We have a video on our YouTube channel of my 5-year-old milking the goat that everybody just loves to watch. So they're fully capable at it, but because it has to be done twice a day, every day, usually they're a little older, 8, 9, 10, before they're committed to being, that being their chore.
How long does it take to milk a goat?
My boys are so fast at it. So it depends on the time of year. It depends on the goat. Some goats have bigger orifices than others. The milk comes out faster, that kind of thing. And, right after they've given birth, they have more milk than they do at the end of the year. But so for me, like say it would take me, 6, 7, 8 minutes to milk a goat. My boys can do it in like 3 minutes flat. They're just like super fast at it. They've got
Wow.
those big forearms and, they're really good.
That's so cool. So, well, tell us the story. Paint that picture. So, you fed your kids wonderful goat milk. They are hearty kids growing up. Uh, I- at what point did you start experimenting with goat milk and doing more than just drinking it?
Yeah, so I really, started pretty much from the beginning with, learning to make cheese, making fudge, doing gelato, really just for us, just kind of experimenting, having fun with it. And then the way it became a business was I had all the children in the bathtub one day, and I was just letting them splash around, just play around in the water, and I was just sitting there watching them. And for whatever reason, I picked up the baby wash that I had always used, and I don't know why, but for the first time in 10 years, I looked at the ingredients, and I was so upset to find out that they were filled with all these chemicals and petroleum-based chemicals and things I would never ever allow them to eat or come anywhere near in their food, but I'd been putting it on their skin all this time. And I was
Mm.
like, that's it, I'm never using this stuff again. I am going to learn how to make my own soap. And I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I went online on the internet, and this was back in like 2000, 2005. So there was not, the internet is not the availability of the information about making soap is not what it is now. And I found some information, and most of the recipes called for water. And I was like, water, forget water. I've got goat milk. Like goat milk is awesome. I'm gonna put the goat milk in the soap, and we're gonna see what happens. And so when I made the soap and put it in the shower, my husband started using it, and in like 2, 3 days, his fingertips stopped cracking and splitting.
What?
I know. And he'd been a teacher for a number of years and all the chalk on the chalkboard. And then he'd been a garbage man for a number of years, wearing gloves year round in all the weather. Just his fingers were a mess, and we'd tried everything and nothing ever fixed it. And by simply making the goat milk soap, it healed that problem that we'd struggled with for forever. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I can do something with this. And so that was kind of the inspiration for, that other people needed needed this help that it had helped my husband with.
Wow, that's so cool. So, like, I mean, he had obviously been drinking the goat milk, so he was getting the nutrition internally.
There's two things. So I think that the goat milk itself has some really good properties. It's high in selenium, which is a trace mineral that most Americans are lacking. We actually give our goats selenium boosters because most of the soil is deficient in selenium.
Mm-hmm.
So it's high in that. It's high in vitamin A. It's high in the alpha hydroxy acids. And those are kind of things they all put in high end beauty products, and all that stuff just occurs naturally in the goat milk. So I think the goat milk has a lot of things that are good for your skin, but I honestly think it's more the fact that I didn't put any of the bad stuff in the soap, right?
Mm.
I think it's all those chemicals, all those surfactants, all those detergents, all those things that are in there that just really harmful to our skin. And most people don't even realize, how bad it is. And so by the combination of taking those bad things out and putting the goat milk in was what really made a difference for him.
That is so cool. What other skin issues have your customers shared that they have reversed using your soap?
Yeah, so I started goat milk stuff in 2008, and what we did was we started giving out free samples. Okay, and I'd give out these free samples. I'd give out our business cards with them, and within the first couple weeks, I started hearing back from these moms whose children had eczema, and I had no idea about eczema at the time. I had no idea how bad it was. I had no idea what these kids struggled with, what the moms struggle with trying to keep their kids from scratching themselves so they bleed, and just all the awful things they try to do to try and and heal their skin. And
Mm-hmm.
I was getting these emails and these phone calls from people saying they used the soap and it stopped the eczema symptoms. And they were just amazed. They were just totally flabbergasted because they'd been doing steroid creams and bleach baths and watching the diet and all this stuff, and nothing worked. And by simply switching to the goat milk soap, it made a difference for them. So that was really how goat milk stuff got its first, kind of boost, and how we really started to grow was because of the word of mouth from the eczema, the people who suffered from eczema, because they just told everybody they knew. So that was it definitely is helpful with that. We have several soaps that people with eczema use. The one that most people prefer is called our Purity. It's just our plain goat milk soap. It's also the best value, so I usually tell people start with that one, and then if it doesn't, relieve everything, then I've got a couple others that they can try. But that's the eczema, psoriasis, acne, things like that are all things we hear really good feedback from, that the soap relieves those kind of symptoms.
So in 2005, you made your first bar of soap. And in 2008 is when you started the company. Between 2005 and 2008, I mean, how'd you start the company? Was there like an aha moment, or was it kind of nagging you for a while, or did your husband keep telling you got to start selling this?
Yeah, so during that time, I'm a big believer in you kind of have to perfect things. I see a lot of I see a lot of people who make their first batch of soap and then sell it, and it doesn't really work that way because soap changes over time. You don't know what it's going to do 6 months from now, and people are going to, buy your soap and put it and forget about it for a year, and then they're going to take it back out, and if it's all covered in spots and mold, you have to know that. So I really became a really good soap maker during that time, and I trusted my formula that was going to do what I wanted it to do. It was going to lather well. It was going to last a very long time because when you have 8 children, you need soap that lasts a long time, and that it was going to be really gentle and moisturizing on their skin. And then what actually happened was we had a budget shortfall. We had very long story. We drive a diesel vehicle called a Sprinter, which is a large vehicle that holds the whole family. And we were visiting my parents, and their gas station down there had gasoline in the diesel pump. And so when we went to the diesel pump and filled it up, it ended up destroying the engine. And it cost, I think, about $9,000 in
Oh my
damage, and they wouldn't
gosh.
cover it. And on a single family, that was a pretty big tragic hit for us. And so I was like, well, I've got all this good, really good goat milk soap. I'd maybe just try and start selling some of it. So that was kind of how it started. I mean, my youngest at that point, she wasn't even a year old. So I probably, I was kind of waiting for her to get around 2 or 3 before I really started going at it. But we kind of got a jump start on it because we needed goat milk stuff to really help with the budget process.
If that hadn't happened, do you think you would have started the company?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'd been that whole time, those 3 years. I was, every time we would go, if someone invited us to our house, we'd bring them soap. Every time for Christmas, we'd give it away, and people were they loved it. They just absolutely loved it. It's hard to say if you've never tried a bar of our goat milk soap. It's hard to describe the difference between that and store bought stuff. But your skin just feels different. I mean, you get out of the shower, you're like, oh my gosh, I can feel the difference. And so we just gotten so much positive feedback. And like I said, with the homeschooling, with teaching the children the chores, I really wanted them to have a very practical education, and entrepreneurship was part of that. So I definitely would have started it. It just happened a little sooner than I had planned.
Definitely sooner, but do you think that negative thing that happened was sort of an accelerant that it allowed you to launch in a more powerful way? Do you think helped you become more successful?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell people all the time, sometimes it's the things that you think are the biggest disasters in your life are pushing you exactly where you need to go.
Hmm.
It was definitely what we needed. The timing was perfect. We were able to, launch goat milk stuff really at the forefront. We were probably the biggest goat milk soap companies out there, right off. It was before Amazon was really big. It was the internet was established enough that people trusted putting their credit cards online, but it wasn't saturated the way it was now. So it was really, we were really able to get our message out there, because the other thing that we deal with is, we've made it look easy. And so there are a lot of people out there who, like I said before, oh, I can make money doing that, and they make their first batch of soap, and they get it out there, and I hear from it all the time. Oh, somebody gave me a bar of soap, and oh, it's terrible compared to yours. Yours is so much better. Why? Because they think just putting goat milk in there is going to magically make a good bar of soap, and it's more to it than just the goat milk.
Hmm. Well, and when you started, did you have a barn or a farm, or did you just, I mean, how many acres of land do you need to have some dairy goats?
Yeah, so we just had 3 acres. So, not tiny, tiny, but not super big either. The farm we're on right now has 36, to just put that in perspective. And we just had a few goats. Everybody, you start with two because you can't have just one. But there's a saying in the goat world that goats are like potato chips. You can't have just one. So they tend to grow on you, because there's nothing cuter than a baby goat. So people tend to have a hard time getting rid of them. So but yeah, it was 3 acres. I started in the kitchen. We had a barn for the goats, and then when goat milk stuff really really started taking off, and we're like, okay, we can't do this in the house anymore. We're totally outgrowing this. We did put a soap room. We built a soap room onto the back of the barn that we were able to manufacture the goat milk soap in.
Very cool. And so besides the cheese and the soap, what was like the next big product that you created?
Okay, so when we started goat milk stuff in 2008, we were just doing the goat milk soaps, the bar soaps. And then we started branching out into, we always said that we would never make and sell something that we wouldn't use ourselves. So it was kind of a combination of the things that we wanted for ourselves and the things our customers were asking us for. So we then started with the lip balms and the lotions and the laundry soap, but we go through quite a bit of laundry soap. Our laundry soap doesn't have any chemicals in there to bind to your clothing, so it doesn't cause a lot of the irritation that store bought laundry soap causes. And so the laundry soap was one. And then, people started asking, like, oh, I love, the pink sugar is my favorite scent. Can you make that in a perfume? Can you make that in a candle? So we kind of got, into those sorts of things. The reason we did so much of that was because it was very good add-ons, because we had all the ingredients, we had all the ability to make all of those things. But it wasn't until 2015 that we moved into food products. And the reason is because when you go into food products, there's so much regulation that it's a very, very big endeavor. So we're actually the first and only grade A goat dairy in the state of Indiana, just to kind of give you an idea of how hard it is to do.
Cool. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
That's really neat. Now on your website, if someone were to show up at your farm, they could buy goat milk from you, right?
Yes, we are the only farm legally allowed to sell goat milk in the state of Indiana. We have it raw for pets and pasteurized for humans. We also have all the goat cheese. We have goat milk gelato, which is so good. That's kind of one of my weaknesses. The salted caramel gelato is is very decadent. And then we have all sorts of candies like fudge and caramel and toffee and things like that as well.
And they're all made from goat milk.
Correct.
Now, why is the raw for pets only and not for humans? Is that just because of state law? I mean, if a human drinks it, I mean, all your children grew up on raw goat milk.
Yeah, it's illegal to sell raw goat milk for human consumption in the state of Indiana. Raw cow milk would count as well, so it is illegal.
Okay, but it won't
So
kill you because all your children are healthy and alive, right?
I can't tell you that it won't kill you. I can tell you that the raw milk for pets that doesn't sell, we take back to the house and drink ourselves. I can tell you that. But yeah, we actually got the pet food license because we have a local deer farm that raises deer and needed supplementation for their fawns. So that was actually why we got our pet food. And then we have a lot of like breeders, like large dog breeders, like Newfoundlands and stuff like that that need supplementation as well. So that's why we ended up getting that license.
That's cool. And then people who want to be rebels can just drink it themselves.
I can't say that. All I can say is it's illegal to sell raw milk for human consumption in the state of
Yeah, and
Indiana.
I want you to keep your license, so we'll leave it there. Very
Yeah.
cool. Wow. Well, so what kind of education do you think your children have received from doing this? Have they been running the business with you? Is this like you're really teaching them entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so the children have been involved from day one. We don't make any decisions without a family vote. Now when they're younger, I mean, they don't really necessarily understand what they're voting for, and they'll, just kind of vote with where everybody else is voting. But they all have gotten a salary from the beginning. They all pay their own taxes. They all have their own retirement accounts that they manage, which funds they're going to put it in, all that sort of things. They all deal with customers, which is quite an education in and of itself. We have the best customers, but we also have some customers that are very hard to deal with. And so, it's something I don't like when they have a problem customer, but I like the fact that they're learning how to deal with that problem customer in a professional way. You
Mm-hmm.
can't yell, you have to stay calm. It's not a personal attack on you. You have to remember something might be going on in their life that's making them grumpy, and it's not about you at all. So there's a lot of things that they learn that way, just having to interact with customers. They
Mm-hmm.
also learn how to sell, and that's a skill that I think is really lacking
Mm-hmm.
in for most people today. What I tell my kids is, not everybody's going to be out there selling a product, but everybody's selling something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's you're selling yourself in an interview, whether you're selling yourself because you're trying to get a project, in charge, you're trying to sell something all the time. And so to learn those skills and learn how to handle rejection and learn to be able to present yourself in a positive way, even despite, it might not be a fun situation, really just builds character and builds skills that not a lot of their peers have.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think the number one skill that all children should be taught is how to do sales, because it doesn't matter whether you're going to grow up to be a salesperson or not, although you can fall back on that skill. But even as a parent, you want the ability to sell your child on not to do drugs, for example, right? Like, so selling someone on something is how to persuade them to understand your idea, and in a sense. And so I absolutely agree that you can use say the ability to sell as a way of communication, as a way of having an idea be understood or accepted, or at least thought about, taking someone who might not have thought they wanted it, and then bring that into their listening in a way that'll have them ruminate about it, or maybe accept it fully. And so, yeah, there's so many ways that, like, all the holistic healthcare professionals out there, if they had even better sales skills, we'd be able to sort of help beat big pharma, which is pouring in millions upon millions of dollars into pharmaceutical ads. And we need to figure out how to sell all the ideas of holistic health. So absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah, it really is important to be able to persuade people to your way of thinking. Not brainwashing them, not, forcing them, but to be able to support your ideas and your beliefs and have that impact. And on the flip side, I see a lot of early 20s, people in the early 20s, late teens, who get out, and for the first time ever have to do something where they're putting themselves in a place where they could possibly handle, face rejection, and they get rejected, and they just don't know what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
It blows their minds. They just, they crumple, they, they pull back, and they aren't able to just turn around and
Yeah.
just accept it and move on. And so, yeah, there's so many good skills that come from being able to sell something.
So tell me about the what's your favorite products that has come about because of your family votes, or maybe have your children brought ideas to the table that have become best-selling products?
You know, we really so here's the story. Okay, so we like to my boys are very fit, so are my girls. It's easier to say my boys because they're the ones who do most of it. And a couple years ago, I got them. Well, my husband and I had done the P90 program,
Mm-hmm.
which for those listeners who don't know is just a home exercise, very intense workout program. And a couple years later, they came out with P90X3, and my daughter and I did it, and my boys started doing it, and we were all very sore. And we were like, okay, we're sore. What, we don't have anything for sore muscles. What can we do? And so we did our research, and we ended up creating an arnica salve, and it's got arnica flowers, which are really good for sore muscles. We infuse them, and then we also came up with a blend of essential oils that help with circulation, and kind of smells like root beer. Actually smells really good. And we put all that together, and we absolutely love this stuff. We go through so much of this salve, and just people, people come to the farm, and they'll say to my kids, "Oh, you smell like root beer. What do you have?" They're like, "Oh, it's the arnica salve. It's so good." So we tend to move a lot of that just because it's something that we use a lot of ourselves.
That is so cool. Well, obviously, then your husband is no longer being like doing the job he was doing before, because it sounds like this business the whole family runs it.
Oh yeah, no, I started 2008. He was on full time by 2009.
Ah,
It
that's
was
so
it was
cool.
crazy fast. Now, we brought him on. That was probably the scariest time of goat milk stuff because
Mm,
the children, I couldn't keep up with it, but it wasn't supporting our family. And
mm-hmm.
we had to, make the decision whether we were going to do what it takes and do what it took to have my husband come on full time, or whether we were going to scale back. And we all voted we were going to do it. But letting go of that final paycheck, ooh, that was scary. That was very, very scary. In hindsight, it's obviously been one of the best decisions we could have made, but at that time, it was it was not an easy decision.
Right? No, absolutely. Now, what was the first big break that you guys had? Was it like a being on a TV show or being in a magazine? What was your first like, "Oh my gosh, this is really this is really happening."
Yeah, so we've actually had a lot of publicity. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But I want to, for anybody who's running a business or whatnot, publicity is a double-edged sword. Okay, that when you get all of a sudden that much attention, it's really hard to handle that and maintain your quality service, your quality assurance, maintain your customer service. So a lot of people think that publicity is, what they need to take them, to make them succeed, and it's really not. I always tell people it's really not. Word of mouth, constant, steady growth is much better. You'd much rather have that. But so what happened was we were at a craft show down in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was put on by the baseball team. And so we were selling our soap there, and the baseball moms came around with donuts. Okay. And, I have 8 children, farm kids, and they, like, of course, attacked this woman with the donuts when they realized that she was giving out free donuts. And she ended up talking to them. They were talking to her, telling her about everything. And she ended up coming up to me later, and she says, "Oh my goodness." She says, "I have got to interview you." And I don't watch television, and so I didn't recognize her, but she was our local ABC news anchor. And so she ended up getting out a camera guy and coming out to the farm and doing an interview. And that was our first time we were on television. And being on television definitely helps. It's it's challenging when you have 8 children. You never know what they're going to say or what's going to come out of their mouth. Um, we have that in that first interview. There was the anchor woman's name was Rachel Platt, and she asked my oldest daughter. She says, "So you guys never fight?" And my daughter like rolled her eyes and like made this like, "Yeah, right" kind of look on her face. It was classic. Um, so I definitely, it's something that we don't say no to when we have the opportunity, but it's not something that we actively seek because we found in doing that the steady growth is really much better. I was given advice when I first started goat milk stuff, and I didn't really believe it at the time, but I totally agree with it now. What I was told was very few companies go out of business for growing too slowly. but many companies go out of business because they grow too quickly. And there's so much truth in that because when you're growing, it takes cash to fund and fuel that growth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what usually puts business companies out of business is the lack of cash flow. And there are many, many profitable companies that go out of business because of cash flow issues. And so, just beware. I mean, because we've been on the Today Show, we've been on the Huckabee Show, we've been on, local news across the country, and they're all good, but don't feel like that's what you have to succeed.
That is such good advice. I love watching Shark Tank, and I've watched every episode of Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, the Canadian show that came before or started before Shark Tank. And they even have it all started in the UK actually with Dragon's Den in the UK. So it's so much fun to watch because you get these little tidbits of information from the investors, just kind of like read between the lines. And that's something they look for is how much the company's grown since its inception. Whether has it grown too slowly, has it grown too fast, did it just have one spike, was it like sort of gasoline on the fire because it got some kind of viral video but then it's going to fizzle out, or is it getting slow, consistent, healthy growth? And you can see how excited the sharks get when they kind of see that perfect storm of consistency over time versus that one big viral bang, because that doesn't mean that the company's going to grow in the long run. So I absolutely agree with you, and I love that your company has weathered the storm, and you've been doing this now for almost 10 years, or
Yeah,
you're coming
yeah.
you're coming up on 10 years.
It's over 9 already. It's amazing. It
Wow.
goes so fast.
Are you
And you mentioned Shark Tank. I watch it with the children and I all sit down and we watch it, and I use it as a very good teaching lesson for the business. And one of the common mistakes you'll see if you watch it enough is these business owners almost always overvalue their business,
mm-hmm.
right? They always think the business is worth more than it actually is because you value your blood, sweat, and tears, and the potential that you see more than it's actually worth to an outside investor. And I'm always telling the children that you have to keep it in perspective, right? You have to look at the whole package and not just the parts that you want to look at.
Right, and you have to also value the investor that you're getting, right? It's funny. It's like you want to make it like a little bit lower, low enough to attract enough sharks because their value is huge, huge. So I just think it's so funny that these business owners don't see that. It's fun to see their blind spots and learn from them. Absolutely. For your 10th anniversary, do you guys have any plans? Like you're going to come up with a 10-year anniversary bar of soap scent or anything fun like that?
We were talking about it. We have my oldest daughter just got engaged, and she's getting married in this coming January. And her fiance's last name is actually Worst, Werst. So we've been the hashtag for their wedding is worst wedding ever. And when I put pictures of them on the website, I'll be like worst couple ever. And so we've all decided that we need to have a soap scent in honor of their wedding that all the guests are going to get, and that we'll put on the website, calling it, the worst soap ever or something like that. So we're all kind of thinking, what that should smell like and what it should look like, and so we're focused on that. But I think once we cover that, then yeah, we'll have to switch to the 10th anniversary.
Oh, that is so much fun. I love it. I love that you guys are having fun and I can hear your passion. And that's, it's there's energy that goes into our creations, right? So you can eat a meal, especially home cooked meals made by someone that loves you, tastes so much better and is so much more nourishing. Sitting down with a family members who love you, right? Or friends that love you, and eating that meal that is cooked by someone who loves you is so much more healing than eating food cooked by someone maybe in a factory. Maybe you ate some kind of frozen microwavable meal made by someone in a factory who hates their job, who boss just yelled at them, who's not getting paid a fair wage, and maybe if the farm workers who pick the food or process the food aren't getting paid a fair wage and are being mistreated, and so they're not happy. And so there's this whole line of custody when you get a product that has, maybe 100 people went into building that product or making that product, and there's an unhappiness there, or maybe the product in and of itself is not healthy for the environment. It's harming more people than it's doing good. There's a different energy for that product than a product that was the hands that create or touch that product are happy, healthy, loving people wanting to support others. I bet that your products resonate, that have an energy about them similar to the energy that you're putting off right now, that you're happy, you're healthy, like you said, hearty.
Yeah.
There's that on a spiritual level, on an emotional, mental, energetic level. I bet your products just have a different resonance about them.
I think there's so much truth in that. I love what I do. I love that I get to help people. I love that I get to work with my family. I love that I get to build something. And we're in it. I tell people goat milk stuff is in it for the long haul, right? I do business consulting, or I have a lot of people come to me and, ask me to help start their business. And I see a lot of them making these decisions that are very short sighted. They're very short term. They're very much, in it for the quick profit or whatever. People have different reasons, but that's not what we do. I built goat milk stuff so I could raise my family, teaching them, how to help others, how to serve others, and make their living doing it. And we want goat milk stuff to be here for my children's generation and their children's generation. And so we're making these decisions with that long term view, and we sacrifice a lot of short term profits for it. I tell my children they're going to have to support my husband and I in our old age because we put everything we have into the business for them. But and they're cool with that. I said, yeah, you just give us a salary for the rest of our lives, we'll be good. But for an example, okay, so we are actually building a new barn right now. Okay, well, we don't make any money by building a new barn. Okay, it's not something that, that helps us sell anything. It's not do that's just it's purely infrastructure. But we're doing it because the goats need more space. And I'm not happy with the space that they have in our existing barn, and so because we I think we kept 26 baby goats. We had last year, we had this year in 2017, we had 149 baby goats born, and we kept 26 of them. And just those 26, were just like, okay, it was fine without those 26, but now with these 26, it's just a little on the crowded side. And so, we're building that for them because I know it's what's best for the goats, and what's best for the goats is what's best for goat milk stuff and what's best for us. Because, like you said at the beginning, we drink our milk raw, and I'm not going to do anything, that's not healthy for my goats.
Right, they're part of your family.
Yeah, they are. we, we deliver every baby, we name every baby. My two boys, my two middle boys, do all the birthing deliveries, and although most of us are there to help and dry off and do stuff like that. But yeah, it's a very, intimately involved with them.
Now you name each goat? Do they come when they're called by name?
Yeah, the milkers do. They don't when they're little. Once they start milking, they really learn their names then. But yeah, they do. Now they're stubborn. Goats can be stubborn, so they may not come. They still know you're calling them, but they don't always come to it.
That is so cool. Now you sell goats on your website. So if someone has a few acres and wants to have two goats of their own, they could potentially buy them from you, right?
Yeah, one of the things I tell people if they're considering getting goats, because people always say, well, what breed should I get? And I tell them, don't worry about the breed. Find a breeder. Find a breeder you can trust. Find a breeder that has healthy goats. Find a breeder that's doing what you want, because there's different. People are doing different things out there with goats, because that's where you're going to get goats that are going to be healthy and do what you want. Because if you want to show goats, it's very different than if you want a lot of milk production, for example. So don't so much worry about the breed, but find someone you can trust, because there are goat diseases out there too, and there's a lot of dishonest breeders out there. So you just have to be careful with where you find the goats. I don't recommend getting goats off Craigslist or places like that. It's really not the best way.
What's some advice you could give someone who would like to get two goats of their own? When they're looking at breeders, what are the kind of the red flags? What are the good and bad signs we should be looking for?
You should be looking for, the breeder shouldn't have anything to hide. Okay, you shouldn't have to, they shouldn't have closed doors that you can't see behind. You should be able to go in and see the barn. Now, the barn, there's a difference. I mean, obviously the animals are always pooping and peeing, so it can't ever be pristine, but you should be able to tell the difference between a barn that's regularly taken care of and one that's not. The animals should look good, they should be alert. Do they come to the breeder? Do they go running away from the breeder? Are there sores? Are there, same thing you would look at a child. Is there, does anybody have runny noses, drippy eyes, droopy ears, that kind of thing? It's just really a matter of being observant. And then there's a goat disease called CAE that you want to have tested for. And so if the breeder either doesn't have CAE test results or is unwilling to let you pull blood on them and send them away, then that's a breeder you probably want to avoid.
Got it. Got it. That is so cool. How many goats do you think you've sold over the years? Like how many families have you kind of set up with their own goats?
My daughter and I were just figuring out that we've delivered over 500 baby goats. And that's, going to kind of be exponential here because, like I said, last year we did 149. We're probably going to have about 200 in 2018. So that's growing rapidly. A lot of them end up, getting 4 or 5 or 6 goats from us. So, because they'll start with 2 and then they love them. They're so, healthy and they're so affectionate. And so they come back and they get more. So, probably at least 100 families probably over the years.
Very cool. Now, you said you supplement like selenium, which I think is so brilliant. Um, are they organically fed, or is this just pasture raised, meaning they're just eating the grass and whatever? So that's kind of organic in and of itself, or um,
Yeah, so I don't purchase organic feed. What I do is I have a local farmer who grows barley for me. So dairy goats, because they give such a high proportion of their body weight in milk, it's really hard for them to be purely pasture raised. They really just get too skinny and it's not healthy for them. You can do that with cows because they have just more body mass than a goat does for the amount of milk that they give. So mine do get the whole barley on the milk stand. Like I said, I have a local farmer who knows I don't want anything sprayed on it, anything put on it. He grows that for me. And then we have grass hay from our fields, which we don't spray anything on. They get loose minerals and they get alfalfa pellets. So we buy those in by the truckload, and those are non-GMO. They're not certified organic, but they're non-GMO.
got it. So there might be a little bit of pesticides or whatever that get in, but there's definitely no like glyphosate or the crazy GMO stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I'd love for you to share some testimonials of customers that like do you have any specifics that you'd like to share? Maybe some recent ones you've gotten about your products?
You know, we have, I just get so excited when I hear the stories of people, that are life changing. I just had one the other day from somebody who has cancer and is going through chemotherapy, and their skin was just in horrible, horrible shape. And someone who uses our stuff gave them a bar of our organic Castile soap, which is it's the most mild soap we made. It's just organic extra virgin olive oil and the goat milk, and then the lye to turn it into soap. And it's what we recommend for newborns and for cancer patients. And she said that it just made the biggest difference because she was able to stop worrying about her skin. She had so many things going on, and her skin problems were just making all of it worse. And so, I get stories like that, and you just, when you make a difference in someone's life, it's so it's so reinforcing that all the hard work is worth it. Because running a
Mm-hmm.
business, having a farm, raising kids, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. And it's just every time you hear something like that, you're like, yes, it is all that hard work. It's totally worth it.
That is so cool. Now you allow tours of your farm, or you have a big thing on your website, which is goatmilkstuff.com, and of course, the link to everything that PJ does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntruehealth.com. So you have a big picture of your farm, which of course is now going to be updated because you are building a new barn. But people can visit the farm. What does it look like to visit the farm? This sounds like a really fun tourist destination.
Yeah, so we love our new farm. So as I mentioned before, we started on 3 acres. When we outgrew that, we went looking for the farm, and we found this one. It's less than a mile off the interstate. It actually backs up to the highway. It's Highway 65 in Indiana, which is like the major north-south route, and it's 30 acres. I'm sorry, 36 acres, and we've just really set it up for people to be able to see the goats, to be able to see what we do, because so much of what I do, yes, I think our goat milk soap is the best and everybody needs it for their skin. But so much of what I do is I educate people about goats because we're a cow country, right? Everybody, that's what we are. And I have so many people who you say goat milk and they go ew, and they don't even really know why they say ew. They do. It just has a kind of a negative connotation, and it's so much healthier for you and so good for you. And so I spend a lot of time just educating people that no, it really is something that tastes good and that you'll enjoy. And you can a lot of times people who like won't try and taste just the goat milk will be like, oh well, I can taste goat milk gelato, and for just like ice cream for those of you who don't know that. And so, I kind of get them in the back way. So the tours are done by, as long as she's available, my oldest daughter. So people start in the soap room. They go through the gardens, see the chickens and rabbits, and we have two Great Pyrenees dogs that act as livestock guardian dogs, and then they see the baby goats and the mama goats and the barns and the milking barn, and then they end up in our sweet shop, which is where the cheese and the candy are all made, and they can tour those as well. So it's really popular. And then we also have a follow up with that, which is the baby goat experience, where you can spend 25 minutes in the baby goat pen playing with the baby goats. And so that's what most people do is they come and do a tour and then do that. And it's just a lot of fun.
You should see the look on my face right now. I'm like, I've got a giant smile. I'm all like, baby goats. It sounds like so much fun.
I tell people you can't be sad around a baby goat. They're just so much fun. They're so cute and they hop and they jump and they're just so full of life. They are truly truly wonderful animals. So yeah, we really enjoy sharing that. I haven't really said this, but one of the things we're working towards with the new barn is to be able to have yoga with the goats. I don't know if you've ever seen that. There's
I
a lot
have
of
heard of this, but I
yeah,
thought it was just a joke.
no,
What's up with goat yoga?
yeah, it really is. And I thought I kind of laughed it off myself when I first heard about it, but then I started talking to people who were doing it, and it's that reason. Just so many people don't have that chance to connect with nature, and so they get to do that. And then we're also probably going to set up a movie night with the goats, where we'll just play a movie, and you can just kind of have one on your lap while you're watching the movie and stuff. So just for the people, because that's what we do, right? I mean, we just we'll come out, and well, it's we're watching during kidding season, and we'll play movies and just sit there with them, and just snuggle and chill for a couple hours. And so just trying to give some other people a chance to have that kind of piece of that kind of lifestyle.
That is so neat. Now, do they really climb trees?
So not like straight up a tree, but yes, they love to climb. Goats are climbers. So if there's any kind of angle that they can, have a little bit of purchase on, they will climb right up.
Have you ever found one like on your roof or something, or on the roof of your car or something weird like that?
Well, I would really like to say no, but we were at the house one time and we looked at our one barn, and it's got a back roof where that goes over where the dog's pen is, and there were goats on top of the dog's roof. And they had actually gotten out of their pen, climbed up into the hayloft, gone out the window through the hayloft onto the roof. So we actually, if you ever get to see it, we did a YouTube video. We did a parody video on Garth Brooks' Friends in Low Places, and we called it Goats in Too Many Places. And it's yeah, we had a lot of fun with that because yeah, they do like to, it's the problem is ours don't challenge our fences, but I have children who like to not always secure the fences so the gates as well as they should.
So
So yeah,
do your neighbors get a goat in their yard once in a while?
no, they stay very close. They don't wander.
That's very awesome. Well, it's very cool what you're doing, and I'm very interested about your soap. I'm also interested about your laundry soap. I mean, it sounds healthy, but does it really get the stains out?
Yeah, I tell people, we're a farm family. If it did, we get some really dirty, nasty clothes. So if it didn't work, we wouldn't be using it. We have what I call the stain stick, and I don't go after every stain on my family's clothes because I would spend all day every day doing it. But the ones that are important on our nice clothes, I've never had anything that stain stick hasn't gotten out. So
And
it
what
works
the
really well.
stain stick is like made of goat something?
Yeah, it's a soap. I've got some essential oils in there that are intended to break down grease stains and help fight bacteria. And it's pretty harsh. It's not something you'd want to bathe in. And so I just wet the spot on the clothes, rub the stick in, scrub it. Depending on how fresh or new the stain is, I'll either just throw it, toss it in the laundry then, or let it sit overnight, kind of thing. But yeah, that works really well. And then the laundry soap. Most people don't realize this, but the laundry soap that you buy from the grocery store has a chemical in it called an optical brightener. And what that optical brightener does is it tricks your eye into you're making your clothes look brighter than they actually are. And the way it works is it has to bind to your clothing. And it's that chemical that binds to your clothing which causes a lot of irritation for a lot of people. And so our laundry soap doesn't have any of those. It just washes clean. People are always trying to get me to add scent to it, and I tell them, I could put scent in the laundry soap, but it won't stick to your clothes because there's nothing there to bind to your clothing. It all just washes away, so it doesn't cause any of the irritants that a lot of the grocery store laundry soap causes.
Right. I don't understand the need to like put scents in everything. I mean, we take our car to the car wash and then we, drive to the grocery store or whatever, get out of the car, and I can smell the scent of the car wash. Like they actually put scent in the soap for the car wash, and I think this is the most ridiculous thing that my car smells like flowers now. It does. That is like, why are we doing that to the environment? Why does a car have to have a scent that is like for the outside of it? This is like the weirdest thing to me. And I use like very hippie, crunchy granola um uh, laundry soap that's very good for the environment and doesn't get the stains out, and but at least it's not going to hurt my septic tank. And um and I had a friend who was over at my house doing laundry, and she's like, well, it doesn't smell like anything. And I'm like, well, here, put choose an essential oil and put a few drops of it in the dryer, like
Yeah, the dryer. Yeah.
exactly, like if you want your clothing to smell, then you choose your own essential oil. Now this arnica salve sounds delicious. Do you also sell essential oil blends on their own, or do you always mix it in the salves?
Yeah, we haven't sold the essential oils by themselves. It's something, it's just a very different business model, and you have to have dark glass and deal with that. And so it's not something we've gone into because to fill those little bottles is actually, especially with something as concentrated as an essential oil, isn't it's we haven't broken into that yet.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Absolutely. Okay, so with your skin stuff, now you got into lotions as well, and some of them are for specific skin conditions or for more, gentle conditions. You want to talk a bit about that?
Okay, so I make a solid lotion, and I have a lot of business people tell me that I'm very silly for that. That I need to make a goat milk lotion because I would sell so much just because I put the goat milk in it. Well, the problem with making a goat milk lotion is that it's not like soap, right? Soap undergoes the saponification reaction, which is a chemical reaction, which changes the molecules and rearranges them. Lotion's not doing that. And so if you just go ahead and put goat milk into it, you have to do something to prevent bacteria from growing. And that usually means chemical preservatives. There are some natural preservatives out there, but I will tell you this. I had a friend, and she bought a bunch of goat milk lotions that used natural preservatives and sent them to the testing lab, and they all came back positive for stuff from E. coli to staph to strep to all sorts of molds and funguses.
Oh,
So
gross.
yeah, I am not convinced that goat milk lotion is a safe product unless you put in so many chemical preservatives that you're outweighing any of the benefits that the goat milk is adding. So I don't make a goat milk lotion. I make a solid lotion, kind of think like the consistency of a lip balm. They're absolutely wonderful once you get used to them. So it's a little bit of customer education because the stuff that you buy at the grocery store is so diluted. People are used to putting so much on, and it's not diluted. The stuff I make, so it literally takes just a very little bit. So if I'm want any on my face, I'll wash my hands, just put a little bit on my hands, and then rub it over my face. I'll do like one stripe down my arm and then rub it in, that kind of thing. And they work really, really well as long as you don't put too much on. I tell people if your skin is greasy after 2 minutes, you've put on way too much. Just use a lot less, and you'll be a lot happier.
So it lasts longer.
Oh, it lasts a long time. Yeah, we have it in three sizes. We have a small stick, a large stick, and the tub. I use the large stick because I find it's the easiest to apply, and that'll last me 6 months. Now, I'm not a huge, I'm not a very large person, and the soap, I mostly just rely on the soap for moisturizing. But we heat our house with wood, so it's very dry in our house in the winter, and so I'm always putting it on my knuckles from putting the wood in the fire, and on my legs and stuff like that.
Now you have a custom deodorant. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so deodorant is one of those things that's really hard to find a good one. Um, the stuff, most of the stuff at the store is contains aluminum and things like that we really shouldn't be putting on our skin, and that's most of them are antiperspirants, which means they're blocking your listeners probably know this, but blocking your sweat glands. And so having when I was having beginning teenagers and they're like, okay, these guys really need something, we really just started experimenting because I didn't want to do any of that. And I tried some of the big name deodorants out there, and I didn't really find that they worked very well. So we came up with our first deodorant, and have just a lot of really wonderful positive feedback from it. Now, we do have the people who try it and end up getting a rash under their arms. And so I talked with a bunch of natural doctors about it, and most of them were saying that it's probably not an allergy to the deodorant itself, but it's actually a detox reaction. So I have some information on the website for people if they're finding that, some things they can do to help detox, and then try it again. And there's a lot of reviews on there that say that when they did that, they were able to use it again. So it's that balancing act, because it might actually be an allergy and it might be a detox, and so you kind of have to be careful to make sure that um, that you're figuring that out properly. But yeah, a lot of people, it's what we use, and a lot of people really really love it.
That is so cool. I also avoid the commercial deodorants, and I tried Piper Y, the one that was on Shark Tank, and that one is really great. And I use one that's just like a charcoal coconut based deodorant, but it only works for about 6 hours.
Yeah.
So I put it on right before I go out of the house.
And I think so much of that is true for a lot of people, because depending on how cleanly you're eating, depending on how much water you're drinking that day, depending on a lot of factors, depends on how odorous our sweat is. And so there are times, I know, if my parents are here visiting right now, and they always bring a lot of food that I wouldn't normally eat with them, and I can tell the difference. And so I think that everybody is different. I think that's why you really just need to find something that works well for you, and know and understand its limitations, because there are times where it would be a whole lot easier to just put an antiperspirant on and not have to worry about it, but that's not something that you want to do on a regular basis.
Absolutely. It's not healthy. But you created this deodorant to work on your sons who work on a farm, and if it works for them, I would be very excited to try it.
Yeah, the original one that we did was the citrus tea. That's the one that I like the best. We had a lot of requests for a rosemary mint, and so we have that. And I personally don't think it's as good as the original one, but I have a lot of people who swear by it. So that's when you have to kind of try and see what works best for you, because everybody's skin is just so different.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a lot of fun. It's really exciting, the work you're doing. Do you have any stories that you just love to share that you haven't had a chance to share yet?
You know, I think that so often you know, we're in this world that we are just bombarded with, all of these toxins and everything from all over, all over. And I think that, we have a liver. Our liver is great at detoxifying our body, but it's just overwhelmed. We're just throwing so many things at it. And so I think it's important for us, for ourselves, but for us if we're parents and for our children, is to get rid of as many toxins as we can, right? Because we really don't have a whole lot of control over what's in the air outside. And when we go to the doctor's office, what's in their air. When we go, out food shopping, what's surrounding us. But we can control what's in our home. We can control what we put on our skin. We can control, a large part what we eat. And so finding the things that are going to be better for you is worth the effort. And it's worth the time to find something you can trust and find a source of products, whether it's food, skincare, whatever, that you can trust, because that takes a lot of the stress off of us as we're trying to deal with everything else we have to deal with.
I love it. It's so, so true. We need to remove as many toxins from our life. It could be environmental, it could be in our products, it could also be emotional and spiritual. We need to surround ourselves with products that support us and people that support us and love us. I fully agree with you. Looking at your soaps, and you do have specific packages for like different kinds of faces. So, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so all the soaps contain the same amount of goat milk. So they're people always say, well, which is the best one for dry skin? And there really isn't the best one for dry skin. A lot of the scents are just a personal choice. We do have essential oil only soaps, but we also do have fragrance oil soaps. Those are both phthalate and paraben free. And so if you're able to handle a scent, you can really just stick with any of them. But then what we have is we have some of our specialty soaps. And I mentioned the organic Castile when I was talking about the cancer patient. That's really the most mild one we make. Like I said, I used it on my newborns. And it's wonderful. It doesn't have a big bubbly lather. It has more like a lotion-like lather. And because it's just the olive oil, it doesn't last as long. So those are some things to consider. And then we also have two other ones that are also olive oil based. One, we take calendula flowers and we infuse that in the olive oil. And the other, we take chamomile flowers and infuse that. And so those three are really popular for people, for women on their faces. And then we have our tea tree soap, which is good for acne. And we also have an activated bamboo charcoal soap. You have to be careful with the charcoal. I always tell people to make sure that they test it on a small patch of skin first, because it works really well for a lot of people, but there's a small portion of people out there that really don't have a good reaction to it. So don't go washing your whole face the first time. Try it first and make sure that you're not one of those, that small percentage that doesn't deal well with the charcoal soap.
And you have one, jewel weed for poison ivy. This is fascinating. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so jewelweed is an herb. We actually wild harvest it. It grows. It doesn't grow all over. It grows in typically wet kind of spots. It's got a little orange flower, so we wild harvest that. Make sure it's in areas that are not sprayed and not that are in good safe areas. And we chop it up and then we infuse it in the olive oil. And we turn it into both a soap and into a salve, and it's amazing. It works really, really well. We have a lot of people who are really allergic who use the soap before and after going in to areas and say that typically they'd be miserable and getting steroid shots and it doesn't show up. And then if you don't realize, if you didn't get to washing soon enough, then we have the salve for afterwards, which will help it to heal faster.
I know some people who every time they do yard work, they always end up just miserable with poison ivy, and so that is so cool. Now, in my area, I live just outside of Seattle, and there's a company that has a herd of goats, and they're hired to clear out areas where there's like got overgrowth. And I remember I was going to the movies one day with my mother-in-law and my husband right before my son was born, and I were in a an area that isn't rural, about to go to the movie theater, and I smell what smells like a barn. I turn around and there's a huge herd of goats beside the movie theater in a lot that had been overgrown, and they're all munching away. And I thought that was really cool that you can hire goats to come in and clear out all the brush, in a more eco-friendly way. But I told my friend who has this problem every time he clears out, or does yard work, that he ends up with poison ivy. And I said, you should hire a herd of goats to come in and clear it out for you.
Yeah, goats are actually sheep are grazers and goats are browsers. Goats actually like more woody stuff. They like weeds. They love poison ivy, honeysuckle vines, all that sort of stuff. So they're very good. You just have to be very careful to keep them where you want them because they like to roam.
So they'll eat the whole garden basically if you don't pay
Exactly. Yeah.
attention. Yeah.
Yep.
And you have this, I know we're not going into bug season right now, but maybe for those in the southern hemisphere that are listening, you have a soap for bugs. Does it really work?
Yeah, so what happened is we were going to a balloon glow. I don't know if you've ever gone to a balloon glow. It's where they take the hot air balloons and they keep them on the ground, but they light them up, and they do it at dusk, typically in like these big grassy fields, and it's beautiful because they're just all these lit up balloons, at dusk and twilight. And so we were planning to go there, and the last time we had done, we all got covered in bug bites. And so I was looking for something for the family. And I ended up talking with this PhD, and he had a blend of essential oils that he used for himself um, for bugs. And so I ended up getting that and using it. And we went to this balloon glow, and everybody around us was slapping themselves, and the 10 of us, we didn't get a single bug bite. And so that was kind of my like, wow, that stuff really works. So we put it in the soap, we put it in a lotion, and we put it in a spray. And they each kind of have their different benefits. So the soap works really well. Like if you're getting up, and like I had a friend who went to Haiti, and she took the soap and would wash with the soap down there in Haiti, and said it worked wonders. But if you're not washing frequently, and you're out all day, it is going, you are going to sweat it off. So you are going to lose some of that. I like the lotion. That's the one that I use the most, because I think it has the longest staying power. And then my daughter, she prefers the spray. She likes that better than the lotion. And the spray you can do, like, if you're already wearing long clothes, you can do it like on your clothes and your shoes and your hair and that kind of stuff. So it really depends on where you're going and what you're doing, which one works best. And it's not DEET, so it's, I don't promise that you're not ever going to get a bug bite, but we found for us that it works really well.
And it's, just to be clear, it's essential oils, it's all natural. You don't put any chemicals in it.
No, the only thing that we do use aloe we use an organic aloe as the carrier for it, and they unfortunately put a preservative in the aloe, so it is organic, but it does have a preservative in that. I haven't found a really good, and that's in the spray only. In the lotion, there's no preservative, and in the soap, there's no preservative. So that would be the only caveat in the spray.
So if someone's going camping or hiking or whatever, they could bring all three if they wanted to, and do a triple whammy to keep the bugs away.
Yeah, if you were really, you have those people who just no matter what they do, they get hammered. So you could do that. If I only had one, I would personally bring the lotion. That's my favorite. My daughter would definitely bring the spray. That's her favorite. So you really, yeah, everybody's just so different. I think you just kind of have to do which works best for you.
I love it. It's so cool. Yeah, well, I grew up in Ontario, Canada, in the, wilderness every summer, it just covered in mosquitoes and black flies and deer flies, and I would do anything to not have bugs on me. So I know that there are other people out there who would just love to try your bug out soap and lotion and spray. It's interesting. I had Naturopath on the show share that vitamin B deficient people are more likely to get bit. So take your B vitamins. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I've also I have the same thing, a doctor here that says zinc as well. If you're deficient in zinc, it will also make you more attractive to the bugs.
So basically, if we're just malnourished, they're gonna eat us alive. It's survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What other very interesting soaps should we be aware of that serve a specific function?
We have our shaving soaps and our shampoo bars. So those are, again, my husband wanted something for his face, so we just created something. We put some clay in there so the razor would glide more smoothly, and some aloe for afterwards. So we have those available as well. The shampoo bar is tricky. Shampoo bar, most people want to put way too much in their hair, so their hair gets really heavy and dull. So I just tell people don't use too much. It does not take a lot. And then the other thing that is with the shampoo bar is it can take people a really long time for their hair to get accustomed to it, and so that can be difficult for people to kind of get through that transition period. Some people don't have one at all. Some people it's a day. But I've had this one woman who said she was determined not to quit, and it took her almost 4 weeks. She says, and she's so happy that she made it, but it was hard. But now she's on the other side and she uses it without trouble. But I always tell people that you may have a period where your hair is not looking so great.
So, don't so the trick with the shampoo bar is not to use as much as you think you should.
Well,
And
yeah,
in
commercial shampoo has this condition, that we have to lather, rinse, repeat, right? And you have to get all your hair over, and that's really not the way it is. I mean, you really should be thinking of it as you're just cleaning your scalp.
Mhm.
And so that's if you can just kind of think of you just need enough to get your scalp clean, and the rest will just kind of filter through your hair. That's really what it takes, because that's what's overreacting is your scalp is what's overreacting, and either putting out too much oil or not putting out enough oil during that transition period.
And then what about do people need a conditioner when they use the soap?
Most people don't. A lot of people will use the apple cider vinegar rinse, but most people don't use a separate conditioner.
Oh, this is so cool. So you have an apple cider vinegar rinse that
Yeah, we don't sell it. I mean, literally, what you can do, the easiest way I find is take a plastic container and put, like, a couple glugs of apple cider vinegar. And if, like you set it on the floor of your shower while you're showering, and then hot water will kind of go in it, and then you just kind of dump it on your hair when you're done. Some people I know use like a spray bottle. They just have a spray bottle with apple cider, and they'll spray it on. You can go on the internet. There's all sorts of ways to do it.
very cool. Awesome. Well, there's a lot of fun things on your website, goatmilkstuff.com. And you were generous enough to share with me before we hit record that you would like to give a gift to our listeners. Could you let us know about that?
Absolutely. If anybody wants to try the goat milk soap, I have a free bar of soap available for you. And all you have to do is go to our website at goatmilkstuff.com, and then goatmilkstuff.com/true health soap. And True Health Soap is all one word, and it'll give you the directions on what you need to do to get that free bar of soap.
Yes, awesome. I'm there right now and I see it says free bar of soap for Learn True Health listeners. That's so generous of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I know I'm definitely gonna get one for me and my family. I see a bunch of stuff on your website. I think I'm just gonna have to go shopping afterwards because it sounds so cool. It's in alignment with my values in terms of being as healthy as possible and making healthy choices for myself and my family and the planet, and that's exactly what you're doing. So thank you. I'd love for, as a project, you should sit down with your kids and figure out, count how many bars of soap you guys have created, how much laundry detergent you created, and then compare it to the chemical alternatives and figure out, because of you guys in the last almost 10 years, maybe this is a project for your 10-year anniversary to announce how many, pounds of chemical alternatives have you saved the planet from experiencing because of the healthy and natural soap you've been putting out there.
Yeah, I never thought of looking at it that way, but that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one bar at a time, and you're really making a small but big difference to the ecology of the planet and our health. So thank you for everything you do.
Oh, you're very welcome. I am glad to be able to do it. I love my life. I love everything I get to do and working with the goats and my children and my husband. So it makes me very happy to be able to make goat milk stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'd love to have you back when you launch new things and you have new things to share, because it's very cool to continue to follow you and the healthy impact that you're having.
Oh, that sounds great. I'd love to be back.
Enjoy what you heard today on your episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Did something move you, inspire you? Did you get great information that's going to change your life? Awesome. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is to help you gain your health back. Please turn around and share this. If this is something that's helped you in any way, share this with those you love. Love the Learn True Health podcast and want to support us? Awesome. You can go to takeyoursupplements.com and you can support us that way. You'll get access to amazing supplements that are just really great quality for a great price. And there'll be someone on the other end of the line to help you pick out your supplements that are right for you. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Or join our membership, learntruehealth.com/join. That's another great way to support our podcast, support our movement, and you'll be supporting yourself. Gain more information, wonderful videos, wonderful trainings, and you'll also be able to share those with those you love as well. So go to learntruehealth.com/join. Want something fun for free? Go to learntruehealth.com, and right there on the front page, you'll see where you can get our free cookbook. I spent a lot of time making it, and it was so much fun. It's really delicious, healthy recipes. And you can also get our 7-day doctor course. Right there, it's 7 days of naturopathic videos sent right to your inbox, and you can learn from top naturopaths on how to gain health naturally. So that's takeyoursupplements.com for wonderful supplements. learntruehealth.com/join to join our awesome membership, which is only open for a limited time. You can get our free healthy cookbook, and you can also get for free 7 days of wonderful naturopathic videos sent to you. Just go to learntruehealth.com and you'll see it right there on the front page. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for sharing and helping others. Let's spread this information and turn this ripple into a tidal wave.